For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Hello and welcome to That's a Shame, episode 14.
That's the one.
It's a Sunday. It's the Lord's Day. The Sabbath for many, but not for even more. Actually, well, the more people who think it's a Sabbath than not, probably not, overall.
Are you okay?
I'm having a lovely day. I'm Isaac, and joining me as always, just across the floor.
That makes it sound like I'm down there.
No, it makes us sound like we're in a dance studio, I think.
Across the bar.
Coming to you from the Pineapple Dance Studios, it's That's a Shame you haven't said your name.
I'm Declan.
How are you doing, Declan?
I'm doing very well.
You pumped. Episode 13, hey? What was that like?
10 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah, we've recorded a kind of two-parter.
Yeah.
Not thematically.
No. Not in any sense.
But put it this way, if the audio quality was bad for the first one, it will be equally bad now.
Don't go expecting improvements.
There are none coming. Oh, just think of all the stories we can share about the intervening time between episode 13 and 14, though. I had some water. We both looked at our phones for a bit.
There was a lot of silence.
Yeah, well, we were just enjoying the sound of nothing for a bit, not our own voices. But we did, before we started this two-part bonanza, and I don't use that word often and won't again for some time, we planned out some stuff to talk about. Because, of course, this is the last day of your visit. We're all sorry to see you go, may I say.
I'm sorry to be going.
Yeah, and to round off your time here in God's own Canterbury, as no one refers to it, we've taken part in some activities.
We have.
Made it sound like dogging. Didn't mean to. Tell us, Declan, about how we came to find ourselves in prison.
Well, you may remember from our anniversary episode that Isaac...
That's me.
And his friend Jacob...
That's me. Doesn't sound like that.
Had previously taken part in an escape room.
Yes.
At the wonderful Dodgerman Floss.
Well, it turns out.
At the not so wonderful Dodgerman Floss.
Turns out they're okay.
In Canterbury. And we were making our way downtown. Just like that song.
Priscilla, what's her name?
And we walked past a bar that we have frequented that you'll hear about later.
Yes.
And there was a sign on the window of the Canterbury walls saying, escape room within.
Within a wall. Imagine that. Where better for a room?
So we went home and looked it up, and it turns out that inside the old prison cells here in Canterbury...
Yeah.
In case you missed...
Just hammering that home. We're not working for Canterbury Tourist Board, although someone should.
They have a second escape room.
Imagine that.
So we booked it at once.
A town this boring. The only thing people can be doing is escaping from rooms. That's all there is here.
That and then drinking, but not after 2.
Not after 2 p.m. It's probably shut now.
Yeah.
Dreadful. So it's built, this pub, the Pound, bar I suppose is more accurate.
Yeah.
Is built inside the original walls of the Cathedral City. Not the cheese.
Of Canterbury.
And it's done nicely. They've done well to kind of keep the original. Don't know why I'm telling you this, but they've done well to keep some of the original features of the building, of which none is better preserved than you lead yourself up this weird kind of indoor fire escape staircase. There was a special button that had to be beeped open so you could go up a gate, and inside you're met by the original Victorian-ish jail cells. Madness. Tell us about our host,
Lucas,
our games master, as he described himself.
Yes, what a man.
Yes.
He was dressed in a sort of velvet 3-piece suit.
At 10 p.m, a bold choice.
He was an interesting man. He had the sort of weird position, because I remember when you spoke about the Dodgerman Floss one of the things that you lamented was the lack of theme, really, and the lack of commitment from the personnel, by which I mean that one
woman who was there, so you guys, you're in prison, just get out. That was about it.
But with Lucas, we had a slightly different experience in that he sat us down for a little chat beforehand.
Yeah, just normal chat.
Yeah, he was just, talking to us about,
Although-
had we done escape rooms before?
I did wonder if he was dropping any clues.
Oh, yeah, I thought that it might... Well, I thought that the room we were in then was the escape room.
Yeah, we were in a
and there was
tiny room.
almost nothing in it, so I was thinking, quite the puzzle.
And also the door was open.
Yeah. So he was just having a chat with us. And then, quite casually, he was like, oh, yeah, you'll have to put all your stuff in the boxes here. So we put our stuff down. And he was like, yeah, all right, okay, turn and face the wall. Going to put a hood on you.
Lucas, I'm not that kind of girl.
Haven't even bought us a drink. So we had these black hoods on us, like Abu Ghraib or something.
We looked like we were about to be beheaded in an ISIS video.
Yeah. And then he led us down a corridor.
Yeah. I had to we were doing like a slow, tragic conga, funereal conga, as Occult Crimes would describe it. As we led, I was behind Declan, sort of ambling slowly. It was kind of like having to dig your own grave.
Yeah.
Bit like walking your own way to the execution.
Lucas rang an inordinately loud bell right next to our ears.
The old head.
And then he led us down, but during this time he was still just sort of chatting to us. He was like, so obviously, you have to get out here. There'll be sort of various stuff to do.
He had a bit more gravitas to his voice now, though. He was like, if you manage to make it this far.
Yeah. But then it was still fairly conversational.
Yeah.
And then we had to go into the room, walk to the end, hands out in front so I didn't smash my nose.
I was assuming you were going to walk off a cliff or into a pool.
And then as soon as I got to the wall, he went to the door. And then very suddenly was just... It is 1833.
The year was 17-4. It was amazing.
Doctor whatever was in his cell.
Professor.
Was he professor?
He was.
Blimey. He was doing all kinds of horrid experiments
It was
on
a
people.
crime and punishment lab.
Yeah. Killing them.
Putting them in a starvation box.
Yep. Electric chair.
What we're saying is Lucas gave it his all.
Yeah.
And to great effect. I was on edge.
Terrified.
It's odd that it does make me nervous, because not a lot does. But the fact that you're at the beck and call of, lovely though he was, a clearly mad man, Lucas.
Oh, yeah.
And locked in, I don't know, there's something about being locked in and knowing that someone's watching you the whole time. I feel very judged. As well we might, because, spoiler, we did not escape within the hour.
No. We were very close. We were 30 seconds over.
Yeah. And I maintain for reasons of practicality rather than problem solving.
Yeah, our main trouble was that, I mean, if we could be criticised for one thing, it was overthinking and underlooking.
Yeah, so I'm not, as Declan said in episode 12, I have a great ability to filter out apparently irrelevant detail.
Yeah.
And whilst he did make it really clear to us at the beginning. He was like, this exact phrase, which what a great thing to say about an escape room, don't take anything for granted.
Yeah.
Well, how, Lucas? What could you mean? And what it turns out he meant is that a box that has 2 metal poles in it, really obviously, might also, under a bit of sawdust in the corner, have the key you're looking for. Tiny little key in a giant fuck-off box.
So we lost a bit of time with that. Perhaps the funniest waste of time, going back to Lucas's message of not taking anything for granted, was the fact that the first room we were in...
Yeah, so you're inside a tight... They're all
old prison cells.
Yes, and at the time, our expectation... Well, we knew that we'd have to travel through a few, because we'd seen where you come in, where the bell was. We knew the bell wasn't right outside the door we were in. But the room we were first in it could have housed the majority of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And
there was lots of stuff in there.
Yeah, and the end of the puzzle could be you open that door, go out, down a corridor, ring the bell, you're done.
Yeah.
Turns out, lads, the door was
open.
unlocked. And so this was which I think is a really clever idea, yeah. So it was just a psychological barrier, there was a lot of irrelevant detail in that room.
Yeah.
Which is not a criticism, it was nice theming.
Yeah, it was to keep you...
to keep you looking round.
Looking at the fact
trying
that
to open
you were very much partially free.
Yeah, what a cool idea. The whole takeaway, we're not going to... It's too complicated. There was too much.
Yeah, it was a very, very good...
Yeah, the takeaway was it was miles above the offering. I still enjoyed the other one.
Yeah.
But what concerns me is that as the two... Turns out there is another escape room in Canterbury, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Who knew? But as the two that are close to each other, they do a group offering where if there are like 6 of you or something, they split your group and 3 will do one while 3 do the other, then you swap. Here's the scoop. Don't be doing the Dodgerman Floss one first.
Yeah.
You will be disappointed.
Or, no, do the
Oh, yes,
one.
yes, do that one first.
Don't do it second.
Don't do it second.
It will be underwhelming.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to travel from... Because they had, like, custom-made machines that
Yeah,
were...
it was honestly so well done.
Yeah.
The one thing... Because the controls that he had over us, or the ways that he had of communicating with us were, there was a little bell, a little ding, for if he was going to give us a clue on a little screen.
Yeah.
There was this horrid siren for if we were...
It sounded like Chernobyl was moving
for if we were
towards you.
doing anything potentially dangerous or anything that was going to damage...
Which we never got.
No, thankfully. But then the only other real thing that he had was this ticking.
It's passive-aggressive.
Yes, which was a kind of, you're wasting time, or don't be doing that.
Yeah.
Don't bother doing that.
It was like you're either travelling down a dead end or the thing you're doing, hurry the fuck
you're
up.
taking too long. So we had a couple of instances of that, like reading stuff too much.
Yeah.
And then there was this post box. There was a post box
Right outside the first
and it was
unlocked
locked,
door.
and there was nothing on it. But I could feel that the door could open.
Yeah.
But there was a lock, and we didn't have anything. There was no post.
No, none.
And we had this huge tray of gold coins.
Yeah, there was a button in a drawer, and when I pressed it, there was a horrible clatter behind us,
Yeah.
which was an unnerving moment. As all these little tokens, they looked like those things that people use when they don't want to put a pound coin in a shopping trolley.
Yeah.
They all appeared in a chute.
And they came out, and I thought that maybe it could be like a pressure trigger, that if we put enough weight in through the post box, that it would trigger the lock.
And there are 2 good reasons to think that. One is that is a common thing in puzzles, like puzzle boxes. All Fleb fans, and I'm sure we all count ourselves amongst them, would know
Exactly.
that you can get like you can very precisely work out what will defeat a magnet and will let stuff fall through. And also the little coins they were plain, sort of brass looking tokens, and they looked like weights. They looked like you would stack, like they'd be a gram each or something.
Yeah. So I put a handful of those.
So Declan started sending those to everyone he knew.
I shoved a handful of those in. Nothing happened. There was a coin slot, but there was something blocking it. So we were like, well, they don't go in there. We were still stuck in this first section.
Yeah.
So I suggested we put some more coins in the post box.
Because if
it's very
we
one
hadn't
note.
had the ticking to
No,
imply that
exactly.
we were fucking up.
So I grabbed 2 handfuls of coins and walked out to the post box. And as soon as I put my hands up to it, this ticking just went tick tock, tick tock. I was all right.
Fine.
It might as well just said, "Fuck off, leave my coins alone."
Yeah. And it turned out there was one coin that would go in because it had like special grooves etched into it that would bypass the coin slot.
Yeah.
Thank fuck we didn't post that coin.
Yeah,
That would be
otherwise-
the end. He said he had a plan B.
I
But
can't imagine what on earth it could have
plan
been.
B was just leave. just
Leave
don't
us
be
there.
doing it.
Don't ever let us out. But yeah, it was good.
It was really fun. Even though the other thing that cost us was this pole.
Oh, that was
This fucking pole.
which we can test simply wasn't working.
Yeah, because there was no individual puzzle that we didn't solve immediately.
No.
There are some that take more time, like there were these, they were like prints. What's the word for that?
Stamps,
Stamps,
weren't
there
they?
you go. And you had to match up symbols and then turn them over, and they had like different names on it, and it got all quite convoluted. So that puzzle, all the steps were obvious, it just took a while to do. But the puzzle that cost us the most time was this pole. And like I said, you opened this big chest to find a load of sawdust, 2 components that's like screwed together to make a long metal crook, and it turns out a fucking key that was hidden beneath all this sawdust. But as soon as we had the pole, it was clear that there was a hole in a kind of wooden thing that was housing all these tools on the opposite wall. There was a big hole at the top, and you could shove this pole down, and it was the middle of a big chest of drawers, so you could pull out different individual drawers, and they all had a hole cut into them to allow the pole to travel down. And we did that. You had to pull them all to a different level. There was like a line you could line up to work out and kind of jimmy it through. Did that. and nothing happened. So we were like, okay, well, maybe it's
magnetic.
Yeah, because it's a metal pole. It has very conspicuously, like, it didn't need to be metal, it turned out. So we tried really slowly, like, levering it down and pulling it back up, like sad fishermen every time it would emerge from their ice hole. Fuck all fish had chosen to bite. And eventually, I think he gave us a clue there. He went, ding! So we went to look at the clue, and it was just a picture of what we were doing.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Lucas.
And then
really helpful.
We tried it again, and then we got another ding, and it was just the same picture.
Yeah, useful. Eventually, I think we solved it by just happening to have...
tugging at the drawers.
Yeah, basically. And it came out a bit too far. But that cost us about 3.5 hours.
Yeah. That was the majority of our time.
Yeah.
And then again, we could have got out, but the very final clue, we had one last 4-digit number that we needed for the final padlock to get out. And we had a minute left.
Yeah.
And it turns out that Isaac had to listen to a phone call. I was at the lock ready to put it in, and Isaac had to listen to this phone call in order to find out what the final clue was. And the phone call was about 90 seconds.
Yes. He was telling me all about like what his family were up to. Hi, this is Professor whatever his name is. And then it took him literally 20 seconds of explaining the kind of plot we've gone through. Hope you're having a nice time in my crime and punishment lab.
Yeah.
And then he was like, what's that? I've got to get out of here. The map. The map, but I was like, what about the map? It turned out that it just had the code on it. It was just 4 digits. Like, he was like, my coordinates are on the map, and they were
just
final
there.
4.
So we would have got out if that phone call hadn't been 9 hours.
I was very stressed at that point though, because we were at exact opposite ends of what there was probably about 30 feet separating us.
And we had the music from Interstellar just
ramping the fuck up,
screaming at us.
It was like they did really well to conjure the atmosphere, and it's really. I would like to again reiterate that I think escape rooms have the potential to be like the best experience you can pay for. Because it's like immersive theatre, but without any of the often wankiness
bullshit
that accompanies it. Yeah. It's really cool. So we found another one in Canterbury, because apparently 2 is not enough for a tiny city. And we'll do that another day. Although I'll have to do one with my girlfriend first.
Before
because she's going to get very angry. It's episode 14 and that's her favourite number, so there's a little shout out to Placate. That's all the escape room stuff I had to discuss, I think.
Yeah. We went downstairs to the bar.
We had a nice chat with him to kind of dissect our failure.
Yep.
And he was like, what went on, lads? You were so close. Like, yeah. I mean,
he very kindly admitted that at one point he did stop watching.
Yeah.
Because I did wonder. I was like, it was because we had a 10 o'clock slot for this.
10 p.m.
It was night.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, there's been slots, every hour for the last however many hours.
I think they give themselves an hour for the thing, an hour to reset.
Yeah, so
you've been doing it all day.
Yeah, and so I did wonder. And so I was quite grateful to him for admitting that at one point he did stop watching. Yeah. He was suddenly wearing a fez when we went back.
Got all Tommy Cooper when we emerged.
But he was very nice, and he went to check the pole and had trouble operating it himself.
Yeah.
So,
So what we're saying is, we did escape. We just didn't escape well.
No.
Yeah.
We went downstairs to the bar.
Lovely.
10% off.
That was good. Only for the first round, though.
Was it only for the first round?
I didn't tell you that at the time. Didn't want to upset you.
Bastards. I'd have kicked off.
That's what I didn't tell you. We've been going to this bar.
Well, that should have been more clear.
Yeah.
Clearer, sorry.
It said off your bill, so I guess we could have asked for a tab.
Yeah, that's what.
As we were there. So we were there pretty much every night that you've been here. Well, not quite, but
3.
Yeah, half then.
Yeah.
And we've been like taking our laptops and working on our script stuff and other such things. But we've every night been able to sit. It's a normal bar built into, again, the walls of the city. But if you go down there's like a corridor. There are these cells, and they're the original cells, but they've been done up like the Red Room from Twin Peaks, crossed with a kind of seedy interrogation suite.
Ashes to ashes or something.
It's really cool, and no one usually has bothered us there. That all changed last night.
Because as 2 people in a room that's ostensibly made for about 10.
Yeah, 12, 15, easily.
So we get a few funny looks through the door every
People
now and then.
walk past and then won't say, they'll be like, oh, this one's got people in, and then they'll walk off and be like, there's only 2 of them in that giant room. Fuck off.
Yeah.
We
So-
both have good don't come in faces.
Yeah, very. We've sort of perfected those. And then last night, Isaac went to get around, and I was left in the room, and we had that exact experience. This sort of group walked past, and a guy was like, "Well, there's only one person in there," and I just looked through the door at him, and then they went down to the next one, and that was full. And they came back, and he was like, "Well, we could just go and sit in one with one person in it," while looking at me.
Ugh, but you've got to remember that for their perspective as well, you're all like illuminated in soft red lighting.
Yeah.
It would be like going to sit with the devil himself.
So I just stared back, and his friends were like, "Nah,
Let's not
move on."
chance it.
So then later in the night, I went to get around,
Yeah.
and I was queuing next to these absolute lunatics. They're just genuine mentals who couldn't quite decide what they were having, how they were paying. They were trying to talk to all sorts of people.
What you're saying is you took our fucking age.
Yeah,
You were gone for hours.
yeah. So I got the drinks eventually. Came back to our cell. There was Isaac
Yeah.
in his little chair
I
at the
sit,
end.
I sit at the
Right,
head of the table, directly opposite
on the opposite
door.
side. And then, lo and behold, on one of the benches were my three favourite lunatics from the bar.
Nicer than to join.
Yeah.
No. I'd already fended off a few people, but there was something about this crowd that suggested... First, they asked so sheepishly, and they seemed to be like, really, is he, your friend's coming back? So, but maybe we could just squeeze... I was like, yeah, okay, fine. But they also I'd overheard their conversation as they'd gone up and down a few times, hoping that in the seconds between each lap, people would disapparate into dust or something and clear up a space. And there would have been a weird... You could tell there was an odd dynamic here.
Yeah.
So I thought, if we're going to let people in, let's let people in who will be a source of entertainment and podcast material. And it turned out that they were both. Let's introduce them. A cast of characters.
There was one girl whose name I can't remember.
I remember all their names.
Oh,
Close, so as they were sitting, I'm at the head of the table. Next to me was he seemed at the time to be the de facto leader of the group.
turns out
Anything
anything but.
Everyone Hates Anthony is the name of his autobiography. Anthony was he was just one of the lads. He'd
One
been
of
at
the
home,
guys.
it turned out, by himself, just downing pints, like living his life.
I think he'd watched the football match.
Yeah. And then he'd been like, you know what, I'm going to hit the pound and I'm going to hit it hard. And he had hit it hard by worming his way
By
into the, I won't say graces because
No.
they hated him, of two girls. There was Claudia from Turkey and Rebecca
Rebecca.
from being about 7.5 feet tall.
That's the one. So it turned out that the group had come together. They'd formed because Claudia and Rebecca were smoking a joint
Yeah.
somewhere in the street.
Which we don't advocate it, that's a shame.
No.
But we don't, do what you want.
Yeah.
I don't have a strong stance, don't know why I said that.
Yeah.
I just felt really responsible for a second in case our listenership is like 8-year-olds.
No.
I don't think it is.
And he had come up and asked if he could just go. He asked if they were going to the pound. And they said, yeah. And he asked if he could come with them. And they said no. And so
And that's where the story should have ended for Anthony.
And so his
Bless
bargaining strategy, bold man that he is, was to say, well, okay, how about you let me come with you and you let me share your joint, and in return, I'll buy you a drink each.
I think he'd promised drinks plural.
Oh, dear.
I think it was an ongoing offer.
Oh, dear.
What an error.
Indeed, because he bought, for some reason they acquiesced.
Yeah.
They were bought a pint each of the lovely Kozel
What a
lager.
drink.
Very
Cheapest
lovely.
one there.
Gorgeous.
Best one there.
Exactly. But that was it turns out, because the night really fell apart then.
Yeah. So what was nice was that it's nice when you get introduced to a dynamic that immediately defeats its own existence, because I just thought they were all friends.
Yeah.
While you weren't there, it began to be more awkward between them. And I'd said, I'd been polite but nothing more. Because
Yeah.
I was reading an article on my phone. I wasn't going
I
to
saw, yeah.
weigh in on the chat. But I've been listening and enjoying immensely the increasingly long, awkward silences between... There was like the girl in the middle, Claudia, who was completely fucked.
She was the drunkest I've seen.
Who was just sort of having her own conversation by herself. And then the two on either side were just having at each other, but in a really like passive aggressive, not always realising it way.
Yeah.
And it was like watching not a comedy, a gritty,
A really depressing
drama.
pinter.
Yeah, it was quite the vibe.
Yeah, it was great because there were lots of dynamics going on. We described it later as the perfect triangle in that both Claudia and Rebecca hated Anthony.
Increasingly as well, there was a trajectory to
Yeah,
their hatred.
but then it was revealed that Rebecca hated both of them.
So much so that she left her friend to die.
Yeah, because the idea was all of being in the Pound was to avoid going to this horrid place called the Cuban.
Which apparently is the only other place in Canterbury that stays open late.
And it's
is
filled
full
with rapey teenagers.
Yeah, it's like where like first years and sixth formers go.
Yeah.
It sounds like a horrible... It also looks atrocious.
Yeah, God,
it's a
oh
really
my God.
like straight line with a disco at the end.
Yeah.
With like one light.
By the time we'd been in that room with these people for maybe half an hour,
Yeah.
Rebecca was hatching a plan to escape with just us.
And our plan was always to head to McDonald's, which is
Very
that end of
much.
town anyway.
Yeah.
So we knew we'd had to go that way.
So we thought, squeeze in one more
We
drink.
were like,
before we
yeah,
get
if there's a
home.
drink open, we'll go. Otherwise, it'll be McDonald's in bed.
Plus,
And occult crimes.
I couldn't help but feel a bit sorry for Rebecca because,
She had two horrible friends.
yeah, two really horrible not friends,
Yeah.
and she seemed mostly all right.
Yeah. She seemed, at first, I really hated her because she was just, it seemed being just really horrible. But then when I realised that Anthony was an absolute idiot
Anthony
and started
was-
joining in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then the bonding began. So Claudia it was very much like a soap as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because Claudia was in love with someone called Remy, who wasn't
Oh,
present.
yeah, we learnt so
But
much
she-
about it.
But
yeah.
she had promised not to text him. But then
She
Rebecca
sent
took her phone.
7 messages to Remy, guys.
And Remy doesn't like her.
He's
because
just-
she was horrible, unlovable. And
She's going back to Turkey in 2 days. though.
Yeah.
And, I mean, she's got to seize every opportunity she has.
And so to that end, having been banned from talking to Remy, she just launched herself
At the nearest
Anthony.
male, Anthony.
Anthony, who initially introduced himself as Ant.
Oh,
Then
did
he left the room
forgot
for a large amount of time.
In which it becomes clear that he probably grew up a lot. He joined the mob.
Yeah.
He'd been in prison. He'd done a 5 stretch.
Yeah, he'd become addicted to cigarettes.
And he came back reborn.
as Tony.
Hey, guys. You can call me Tony now.
Yeah.
What happened to Anthony? That boy is dead.
Yeah.
The man is here.
I don't know Anthony. So he came back, sadly.
Yeah.
We tried our best not to have him return.
Which is difficult when you're not moving from
Yeah,
a
and
lovely
when you're stuck in
seat.
a corridor with only one exit. But yeah, Claudia launched herself at Anthony,
Quite literally.
who, despite previous rebukes, just sort of went along with it.
Yeah, so we were just ignoring that happening, talking about leaving,
Yeah.
left.
Literally ran down the corridor
Yeah.
away from them. And then along the longest, straightest street in the
It's
world.
the worst street to hide from anyone on.
Where they could clearly just see us walking away from them and not responding to
feel like
to their cries.
if you were to shoplift on Canterbury High Street at any point and there were a policeman on any other point of it, they could just watch you leave and just kind of walk behind you, knowing that you're just launching yourself down the straightest path
Yeah.
forever.
We got to the Cuban.
Oh, sharp.
Very close.
Not a bad thing. Wasn't disappointed.
No.
My heart was set on a double cheeseburger.
Yeah. So we got up to McDonald's. We were thinking then that would be where the interaction ended. Rebecca, bless her, dauntless in
Yeah.
her crusade for another drink.
In that way that only there's a certain amount of drunk where you just become extremely confident in your ability to kind of affect the universe just
Yeah.
through sheer force of will.
In that-
There'll be somewhere open.
In that we
No.
sort of looked it up, and there was nothing to suggest that it was open.
And
this
indeed
other place,
looked at it from the other side of the road.
and saw that it was shut. But she was absolutely
No, it's just the vibe. It's a very dark
incorrigible.
joint. Okay.
Now, there was part of us that thought maybe we should just leave it here.
Yeah.
Cut, end the trio. It's been fun while it lasted.
Every band has to break up eventually.
But then we thought, we can't be the last two people to see her alive.
My alibi is questionable.
As she walked into an underpass.
And because you have to go under, like you say, under this big main road, and it's a terror. It's an occult tunnel.
It's where every crime ever happened in Luther.
Yeah, pretty much.
To my recollection.
All of the same day.
Yeah. So we thought...
Fine.
So
okay, we'll cross the road.
Followed her, which wasn't as easy as it sounds because, though she was stumbling, she did have the longest legs of anyone I've ever seen. She just did
one step across the road.
She didn't need the underpass.
It was like into the woods.
Yeah.
When she was looking for her husband.
And so we sort of came to the other side. Would you believe it? Everywhere was shut.
Wow. News to me.
We decided then that it was probably best to definitely end things. She was considering coming to McDonald's for food, but thankfully asked us for our opinion on the matter.
Nah, you're not going to want to do that.
And ours was, you should probably just go home.
Yeah, it's not the place to be, actually. There's a really dark vibe around McDonald's at this hour.
I considered that we probably should have walked her home, because she said she didn't live far away.
Than I'm willing to put into any stranger.
Firstly, far too much effort, and secondly, that is perhaps worse than if you just leave them in town. If you walk someone home.
And then they're found dead. Well, that's on us.
Yeah. Sadly... No idea what happened to Claudia and Anthony.
Well,
one or both of them is definitely dead.
Yeah, it was a triple homicide.
At each other's hands.
All found in the escape room in different pods.
Yeah.
Dreadful affair.
But we had our McDonald's.
A happy ending.
Exactly.
So who's the real winner? Once again, us. And now you, listeners to That's a Shame. We're going to move on to Hooked. This is hopefully the last of our shorter episodes. Let us know what you think about them, though. Is this a good length? Is it a bad length? Do you want more? Do you want less? Have you stopped listening? Probably won't email them. You'll remember we left Hooked at a characteristically brilliant,
pivotal moment.
Yeah.
Tiffany has run upstairs. It's revealed that the baby is her father's.
Yeah, so it's
from
Tiffany's
the crazy
sister.
Woman, Jessica.
Mental.
Is her name?
Yeah, it was Jessica.
Yep.
Mum has been sitting on all this information like a police informant, too scared to operate.
But has suddenly divulged everything.
Yeah.
She's advised Tiffany to go upstairs. Tiffany looks out the window and sees that Jessica has a gun.
Oh my God. So let's go from, go look from the upstairs bathroom. Get away from the ground floor.
Okay, I can see her. I think she has a gun. OMG, OMG, OMG.
Imagine texting. That's so cumbersome to text as well.
Yep. Where are the police?
On the way.
That poor baby. I can't let that psycho woman find
She's
her.
very selfless, Tiffany.
I'm going down there to get her.
Tiffany, what did I say? Do not go into the basement. It's for your own good.
I have to do something. I'm not hiding in a bathroom while my sister screams for help.
She's also very open to new family. She's only found out this baby existed for 1 minute.
She's not judgmental.
She's already calling it her sister.
They should call her dad a bastard.
Tiffany, for once, will you just listen to me?
Mum, I love you, but I'm going downstairs.
And that, I'm afraid, is the end of Where Is She? Part 1.
There's 3 episodes of this.
Yeah. This one, the description is of part 2. Tiffany hears a weird noise in the basement and discovers a dark... that's already happened. Dark secret about her parents. I think let's do a little taste of part 2, if you can get it up.
Yeah, I have.
It starts with Tiffany's line.
I can't hear the baby anymore. God, it's cold down here. It's so dark. I can't see a thing.
We shouldn't be going down there.
Mum, will you call it, please?
Chill, Mum.
Oh, great. The light on the stairs isn't working. Just my luck.
Please be careful.
It's turned into some sort of
just my luck.
Wop, 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 wop. I'm fine. I'm using my cell phone light. Jeez, I haven't been down here in a long time. What, downstairs? This place is really creepy.
It's just a basement. A place for people to store their junk, Mum says.
So why would Dad bring a newborn down here? It's so dark and cold. Something doesn't feel right.
What do you mean?
I don't know, something's just off.
Oh, no.
Oh, And there's a terrible
Something
smell.
is off.
What are you and Dad keeping down here? I'm literally gagging.
What do you see?
Nothing but boxes right now. I'm heading away from the smell.
That's horrid.
I feel like I'm going to be sick.
I wish you would have waited for me. I really didn't want you in the basement.
Too late.
Too late.
I'm going to check the laundry room.
Is that in the basement? Or is she just done with the basement?
Oh, well, this is great. The light in here doesn't work either.
Tiffany's become so sort of
Like
cynical.
cold.
Yeah. Oh, this is
What the-
great.
I think I see something moving.
What is it?
I don't know. It's on the floor by the washing machine. WTF? I'm going to move closer.
Please be careful.
Oh my god! It's the baby!
Ah! This has been episode 14. Is that a shame? If, like us, you are hooked, we'll see you next Wednesday for a further taste of Tiffany's misadventures in the basement.
In the dark,
Washing
lightless.
filled. I've been Isaac. You've been.
Declan. You can find me at Cynical Declan.
And me at Isaac BD. You can follow the show at That's a Shamecast. We've got a contest. Go and enter it, shame.city/contest. Shame.city for all our episode notes, photos, that sort of stuff. And TAS at shame.city if you want to get in touch. This has been episode 14, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder, my new home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. Necessities, the bare necessities, the bare necessities of life will come to you.